Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Blind Boys Politics. I'm Nicholas Rod. Chris Baker is here with you, as we always are, on this Friday morning for another round of news. Chris, start us off, as usual, by giving us the weather for today and this weekend.
In Los Angeles, California, it's partly cloudy, 72, with a partly cloudy weekend. In Houston, Texas, it is partly cloudy, 86, with rain moving in Sunday. In Chicago, Illinois, it is partly cloudy, 56, with showers Sunday. In New York City, it's partly cloudy, 72, and rain all weekend.
Well, Chris, we made it through the week. It is now Friday. Are you still loving each day like you were on Monday?
Yes,
That's good.
100%. And I'll tell you why, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like you need to know you have the right to know why I'm such a happy-go-lucky person.
Okay.
And that reason is, as we're speaking right now, I am not in school. You are, so that makes me happy. Monday, you were in school and I wasn't, so that also makes me happy.
So what I'm hearing is that you enjoy my suffering.
Only on Mondays and Fridays.
Only on Mondays and Fridays. Only when the people can see it.
Yeah. Inconvenient timing, but the facts are there. But
small details on that.
this week's been great because Monday, I didn't go to school because I was sick. Minor details on the sick part, but nevertheless. Friday, as we're speaking right now, I'm dropping Annie off at puppy school. Yes, that's the thing. My dog goes to school and they literally treat it like school. Story
Yeah,
for
I've heard
another
of it
time.
before.
And then I'm going up into the Adirondacks.
See, that actually sounds really nice. I would love to go up into the Adirondacks. It sounds like it'd be like very peaceful, to be honest.
Yeah, well, this is why I'm going up there, to get my peace and quiet from you.
But you know what? That's fair. I can't argue with that.
It's been a busy news week, Nick. I needed like a day off.
Yeah, it has been pretty lively, I'd say. There definitely have been stories that have come out through the week. Most, all of those of which we will get to here in this episode. But yeah, no, it's been busy enough, I'd say. But it hasn't been anything overwhelming. I dare to say it's been lively but manageable.
That's no
From
fun.
I mean, when it does start to get really active, it can be fun at times. Other times, it becomes truly exhausting. I end up on my 7th cup of coffee and your 4th Pepsi.
14th, I think you mean.
But on that note, and talking about the news of this week, we might as well just jump right into our first topic here. And our first topic has to do with tourism and American tourists going to countries in the European Union. Specifically, American tourists may be welcomed back to all 27 European Union countries by June of this year. There are qualifications that you have to meet for this too, specifically. The first one is that you are fully vaccinated and the travel doesn't happen until at least 14 days after you were fully vaccinated. And this has to be with a vaccine approved by the World Health Organization. And this would be Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson. These are all approved vaccines. The second option would be you coming from a country that the European Union approves based on low COVID-19 infection rate. Unvaccinated children may travel with their vaccinated parents if they have a negative PCR test 72 hours before arriving. In these cases, member states could also require additional testing after arrival.
The proposal also does not address what vaccinated people can do once they're inside Europe. Some countries in the European Union require vaccination passport to enter some shops, restaurants, semi-public places. This is only a proposal and things are subject to change and will ultimately need to be approved by all European Union member states and the Commission. There will also be an emergency brake built into this plan to immediately stop travel from countries with concerning variants. The European Union Commission proposed the plan to all the European Union member states this week.
But with that, we move forward and away from that topic and into a new one here, and it surrounds Facebook and the news of former President Trump's future fate on Facebook and its other platforms. This is in regards to when the Facebook Independent Oversight Commission Board announced the decision to keep his Facebook and his Instagram account locked after a review of the former president's suspension. The former president's Facebook and Instagram accounts were suspended after the January 6th attack on the Capitol. The oversight board was supposed to announce the decision on the matter last month, but they said that they needed more time to sort through the 9,000 public comments.
Facebook created this oversight panel to rule on controversial content appearing on its platforms that Facebook has removed. Content like misinformation, hate speech, various influence campaigns, and so forth. So far, the Oversight Board has voted overwhelmingly for freedom of expression over restricting comment. The board is currently made up of 20 individuals, including former prime ministers, journalists, legal scholars, and human rights experts. All members are paid a salary by Facebook. The Oversight Committee told CEO Mark Zuckerberg he needs to make a decision whether to give him his account back or not at the end of the 6 months from Wednesday. As of former President Trump's other social media accounts, Twitter has been permanently banned. As for former President Trump's YouTube page and YouTube partner company Alphabet, CEO said the company would lift Trump's channel suspension when it's determined the real world violence has decreased.
Switching topics again, and it is almost tax day. 2020 taxes are due in just 11 days, which would be the 17th of May. That means you have to file your taxes and pay your tax bill, or you will face penalties. There are 3 specific groups, however, that have automatic tax extensions. The first group are those who are victims of the winter storms that took place in the South. This consists of people from Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. If you're from those states, you have until June 15th to file your tax bill. Group number 2 is military and eligible support personnel who are in combat zones. You have at least 180 days to file your return and pay your tax bill.
The third group is U.S. citizens and residents who live and work outside the United States and Puerto Rico. You have until June 15th to file and pay your tax bill. And just a little bit of a bonus group, U.S. military members that are in duty outside the U.S. but not in a combat zone. You have until June 15th to file and pay your tax bill. Now, if you don't fall into any of those 3 categories, but you still want to apply for a tax filing extension, you can file Form 4868 and you get that form on irs.gov that pushes your return deadline to October 15th. But super important, you still need to pay your tax bill by May 17th.
Next up, we have an update on the stimulus checks and their circulation throughout the country. The IRS dropped another 1.1 million stimulus checks this week. That brings the total to 164 million checks sent to people all around the country. And no, like we always say, this is not a new stimulus. These are the checks that are coming from the American Rescue Plan, which was passed earlier this year. This is now the 8th batch of EIP3 stimulus payments that have been sent out through direct deposit, paper check, and debit cards. And again, as a reminder, if you did get a paper check, the IRS is telling you that you need to wait 3 to 4 weeks for those checks to deliver.
The 8th batch included more than 585,000 to individuals to whom IRS didn't have information but was obtained by filing your 2020 taxes. The batch also included 70,000 plus up payments to Americans who were owed more stimulus money based on their newly processed 2020 taxes. And if you are still owed Economic Impact Payment 3 stimulus payment and still haven't received it, do not panic. The IRS says they will continue to issue EIP 3 payments on a weekly basis as they continue to process tax returns.
Staying on the topic of economy and similar topics, you may not be protected from eviction after all. A Washington, D.C. federal judge ruled on Wednesday in a 20-page decision that the CDC overstepped its authority by extending the eviction moratorium until June 30th. The judge also said that the order should be revoked. The eviction moratorium began at the beginning of the pandemic under the Trump administration. Both Congress and the CDC have continuously extended the deadline for this moratorium.
The CDC said on March 30th, at the time, they had the following reasons on why they extended the rental moratorium longer. Their reasons were kicking renters out for pandemic-related non-payment of rent would cause COVID-19 spread and a mass homelessness. The CDC was clear not everyone did not qualify for the eviction moratorium, and those who did not could, in fact, be evicted from their apartment. But throughout the pandemic, landlords and property owners have constantly challenged the CDC's order, arguing the policy sets undue financial burden on business owners and landlords. Wednesday, a Washington, D.C. federal judge agreed with the landlords and property owners.
And this isn't the first time that federal judges have weighed in with their opinions on the issue. There have been debates on this matter across the country, with some being for the eviction moratorium and some being against it. On Wednesday, the Biden administration said that they will immediately repeal the particular decision and will request for a stay on the ruling. This means that nothing will change until the matter is brought before an appellate court judge.
Keeping with finances, because that seems like a hot topic this Friday morning, if you think the food prices have gone up and if you thought food prices have gone up, you would be right. On average, people are spending a minimum of $40 or more a week at the grocery store.
That's right. Many Americans are paying more for the basics right now. For example, citrus fruit is currently up 9.8%. Bacon is up 8.1%. Beef is up 7.1%.
Along with this, prices at the gas stations are up roughly 22% higher than it was during the middle of the pandemic. During the heat of the pandemic, gas prices fell to so low of a price, oil corporations, some went out of business as a result. Prices will eventually even out and people will start going out to dinner, which will also lower the costs at the grocery store. The only thing that may not return to a normal pricing point anytime soon is lumber, which prices are up over 300%.
All right. Now we move away from economy and finance and all that. And we have some news about the trial of former Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin. Chauvin's lawyer, Eric Nelson, has filed for a retrial in the murder of George Floyd. This comes after a photo surfaced on social media of juror number 52, Brandon Mitchell, at the March on Washington wearing a shirt that said, quote, "Get your knee off our necks," end quote. Eric Nelson has filed for a Schwartz hearing, and if granted by the judge based off of what Mitchell says, could cause a mistrial.
Back in March, during jury selection, Mitchell said he was in favor for the Black Lives Movement, saying, quote, "People of black pigment, their lives matter. It's just a thing," end quote. He told reporters that he answered no to the following two questions. First question being, did you or someone close to you participate in any of the demonstrations or marches against police brutality that took place in Minneapolis after George Floyd's death? The second question being, other than what you have already described above, have you or anyone close to you participated in protests about police use of force? The judge now needs to decide if there will be a retrial or not. As it stands right now, sentencing of former officer Derek Chauvin is scheduled for June 25th. Now, Nick, let's get into some rapid news. Peloton treadmill is now recalling all treadmills and offering a full refund after several children getting hurt, in one instance, a child passing away.
And also, Bill and Melinda Gates are getting divorced. For more information on that topic, Chris has written an article that will be linked in the show notes. So go over and read that.
Nick, it's that time of the day. Coming to the end of a Friday morning news. Tell us, what is your good news for this Friday morning?
All right. So I figured this was a perfect story because on the day of recording, it's Thursday, May 6th, which is National Nurses Day. And with the pandemic going on for over a year now, we're verging on about 14 months at this point. Uh, Nurses have been absolute heroes through all of this. They've had to push to limits that, you know, a lot of them probably didn't even know they had, because as a nurse, you're already working hard. You're already doing so much to help the patients in the in the hospital and the doctor's offices and so on. But with the pandemic, it's been taken to a whole new level when it comes to what these nurses have had to, um, the strength that they've had to find and the things they've had to do to get through this time. Well, there were a few people that really wanted to show their appreciation to the nurses that had saved their lives. It was these two men specifically who had battled severe illness. One of them had had fevers to the point where he was hallucinating, having nightmares. He was in pretty rough shape, but with everything going on, couldn't have any family there. So he couldn't have any of that support. And he said that the nurses there acted as his family. One of them would even write notes and leave them by his bedside while he was asleep for him to find when he woke up. And and they just did all they could to make sure that he felt comfortable. And the same was the situation was the same for the other guy in terms of they just tried to give him as much support as possible. So what these two men did was there was a group of about 20 nurses that got called together for this, and they each received a bouquet of flowers from both men. And then beyond that, they also received a grab bag, each with a stethoscope that has hero engraved on it. And also beyond that, they each got fully paid trips to resorts in their choice of the United States, Mexico, or the Caribbean, and that included spa time. So just a way to for these two guys to show their appreciation and just say thank you in the biggest way that they could think of.
I said it this morning in my tweet. Nurses are the real heroes in the last year of the pandemic. I'm glad they're finally getting the recognition that they deserved. And I would say myself, I bet the
The
engravements
stethoscope.
were,
Yeah.
yes, those engraved with the word hero on it. I bet that meant more to them than the vacation, the spot, all that. I feel like that meant more to them having that than anything. But maybe that's just me.
I mean, the whole gesture it's just
It's
so touching
huge.
to see. It's so touching to see. Um, because yeah, I mean, these nurses, like I said before, they've done so much throughout these past 14 months or so that they probably never thought they'd have to experience. And for such a prolonged period of time, it's absolutely insane. An amazing way to show appreciation for these nurses. Just amazing.
Great story. Good job once again, Nick. That is the end of this Friday morning news episode. Make sure you come back Monday morning for an all new news episode so you're fully up to date on all the latest news that developed over the weekend. And then after that, a lovely dumb law on Wednesday. But until then, make sure you follow us on all social medias, especially the Blind Boys Politics Twitter account for the latest 24-hour breaking news. So you're always in the know. And follow us on our personal accounts to see what we're up to. But until Monday morning, have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone.